on this
7.
computer. All right, I'm going to call this meeting of the Libertarian Party of Pinellas County to order. I actually have, Mr. Stevens, can you confirm quorum for us?
Yes, we have 4 board members here.
Fantastic.
Quorum confirmed.
Quorum confirmed. With the agenda, I'd like to add an item around, I'd like to make it item number 6. Right before Mr. Colina's paperwork filing, which would then move that to 7 and the subsequent things down 1, if that's okay with everybody. It's only 5 minutes. If that's cool, I will do that. And then I also have an additional announcement for that section as well. Go ahead and open it up for item 3 on the agenda, member comment. If there's any member of the Libertarian Party of Pinellas County that would like to be recognized, please make me aware and the floor will be yours. Lee, yes, sir.
Yeah. I have a suggestion.
Yes, sir.
The big discussion over Section 230 and the people who are constantly trying to modify it, change it, abolish it, or whatever. I wonder if it would be worthwhile if, rather than us getting involved directly and saying, hey, we don't want that to happen, or maybe we should involve ourselves that way. But instead, what we put out is a listing of all the alternatives that might be available, or a selection of alternatives that might be available to the various search engines, et cetera, that people might have objections to. I don't think a lot of people understand there are alternatives, and they don't like something, they don't have to turn it off, they just need to find a different one.
Well, so if I can,
More document for that.
Is it all right for me to kind of
Sure.
share my thought? Okay, so Section 230 actually shouldn't affect any of the platforms that we're talking about because they are not publishers. And Section 230 is specific to publications and protecting them from content that is published. And if we saw that platforms were held to the standard of Section 230, what would end up happening is that there would be far greater kind of censorship among the platforms because they would be liable for anything that their members post. So you would probably have a more stringent membership on that platform. And there would certainly be more policing than we're currently seeing. The people who are talking about changing anything about Section 230 don't seem to understand that platforms are not publications. But I do appreciate the thought about offering alternatives. And I do think that's something we can talk about. You know, if you don't like the policy of YouTube, there is Vimeo, there are other video services. If you don't like Facebook, there is MeWe, and if Parlay ever comes back, and there's, I'm sorry.
Yeah, essentially, it would, rather than any further regulation, just like, hey, the best way to counter something you don't like is through information. Like I said, most people, I don't think, have enough information about their alternatives. And so it's like, okay, we promote freedom. Here are the alternatives. Quit trying to regulate. Just use your alternatives. And here's how to do it. We don't recommend any particular alternative. That's not our bag. We just say there are alternatives. Increased knowledge gives you more freedom.
Thanks, Lee. Are there any other members seeking to be recognized before we get into the next item on the agenda? Seeing and hearing none, I will turn it over to Mr. Stevens while we take a look at the prior meeting minutes and choose whether or not we wish to approve them.
Thank you very much. Okay. Let me switch over. I will share my screen for novelty. Boom, we can all see this. Alrighty, I believe so. So, quick perusal. Last month, Thursday, February 18th, 2021, general business meeting for Libertarian Party of Pinellas County. Call to order at 7:06 p.m. Quorum was confirmed with all officers present. General transitional items happened well. We all have our PinellasLP.org emails. We have our bank account transferred. We have our social media transferred. We motioned to allow our treasurer to move us from PayPal to another credit card processor that takes less of a cut. If I recall correctly, we've ended up switching to the company that our treasurer is a part of. To add to the record, because I think it's important to note, the profit got from the company to our treasurer is substantially less than what he actually donates to the party every month. So no issues with that. And then also on March 6th, we had our coffee social with Professor Stephen Horowitz. And on April 10th, which is also my mom's birthday, is going to be our chat with Libertarian Policy Institute Director Nicholas J. Sarwark. Did I miss anything? Brett, you're muted.
I will entertain a motion to approve the prior meeting minutes.
I motion to approve.
All right, is there a second?
I second.
All right, are there any opposed? We'll just say that it passed by acclamation then. Next item on the agenda are our officer reports. We will start with me. Hopefully I can fit this all in 5 minutes. There are 11 items that I've outlined here. Since the last business meeting, I've spoken with the Supervisor of Elections Office about our upcoming filings, and I've introduced the new leadership team. I have spoken with the LPF Vice Chair and the Membership Director about getting information corrected on lpf.org, and that is now complete. If you go to the affiliates page, you see our current slate of officers rather than the previous people who served in those roles. I spoke with the LPF chair and treasurer about legal paperwork in support of the next item, in which I have worked to support our treasurer in his efforts to make us legit with the omnipotent state. And he will have a lot to talk about with that when it comes to item number 7. I've spoken with 2 local business owners about their willingness to host us for a fundraising event. And once I have more details, I will share those. We hosted our first coffee talk on March the 6th with Professor Stephen Horowitz. I have finalized our May coffee talk speaker. The details are in the announcements. I've also finalized our monthly Liberty Yoga. Those details will also be in announcements. I posted the coffee talk, February business, and February officer meetings to YouTube, and posted the coffee talk to Facebook directly with the video. We've actually gotten a lot of really positive response from both of those postings. And I have added email and other contact info from the voter data that we talked about last month. And I'll be reaching out to them over the next week to invite them to these upcoming events now that we have populated a little bit of a calendar. If anybody has any questions about any of those items, I am more than willing to answer. If not, we will turn things over to Ms. Herrera. Hearing none, our Vice Chairperson.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jasmine Herrera, your friendly neighborhood vice chair. Mine's going to be relatively short. I've been out of the loop this entire month due to a unplanned activation in support of COVID response. So I don't have too much. For me this month, I sent a thank you to one of our recurring donors last week. And then the other item I have for this month, update-wise, is Brett actually put me in touch with the executive director for the Ladies of Liberty Alliance, Nana. So hopefully within the upcoming months, we can start planning some activities around to try to get either like more social events or just kind of more light on what the Ladies of Liberty Alliance does and how they can kind of help us out in Pinellas County as well with more membership. Any questions? That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have two things to talk about on my report. So first, usual social media stuff. So in the past 28 days, our posts on Facebook have reached 2,580 people, which is down 7%. 574 post engagements, down 1%, and 12 new page likes, which was down 52% from the last 28-day period. So not too much going on are in that level. Secondly, I have going to show Slack. So for some background, we've had the issue of it's hard for us to work together and get work done efficiently if we don't know what we're doing. And to make that easier than email, which is a little bit more formal, we have looked into using a solution such as Slack. Slack is something that I have a lot of experience with, and it's a very common software as a service product used in a lot of different workplaces, large and small. So I have made something up. All right, we'll just, there we go. So on my Slack, I use this there's a larger Slack for all LP and also in the Boy Scouts. So going through here, I've made a few different general channels. So one is events. So the most recent, who, all libertarians in Florida, what, a discussion with Libertarian Policy Institute Director Nick Sarwark, the when, the where with the Zoom meeting linked. We have a general chat for general stuff going on. Leadership room for, I call it the key four, which I shamelessly stole from my leadership activities in scouting, for the elected officers of the party to chat with each other. The one issue I've had with Slack, I've formerly used a bot. This is the couple years back, we had the issue of we want some people to be able to talk in our channel. So in this case, we want the officers to be able to chat in this channel, but everybody else should be able to see it for transparency purposes. That bot has since been retired, and I'm not even going to pretend like hosting this on our own would be a valid or good use of party money. So with that being said, I can look into other solutions. However, if we just tell people, hey, this room is supposed to be used for just the elected officers, we encourage you to look around at what we're saying, but please don't chat in here unless there's a glaring issue that needs to be brought up with something we said. Please don't. I think if we just say that, that would be perfectly acceptable.
I have a couple questions, Nate.
Fire away.
Is it possible to pin something in a channel?
Yes, I believe so.
So we could pin something like you talked about at the very top.
Yes, we can do this. Oh, that's just for me. There we go. Pin to channel.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. So in our channel here, we hit the little information button, pinned, and we can see the important stuff.
Now, for people who want to watch and or participate, how would they go about doing so?
So in here, there's a few different chat rooms, and we can make more. We can delete them. Well, archive is the term I like to use because I'm not a fan of deleting the record. I always want to keep it there. But there's a general room for that would just be broad use. We could talk about anything there with everybody. I've also created, as the goal of what our company, in quotes, does, is promoting liberty. So we could also say general chat is for whatever's going on around here, and promoting liberty is for party talks, committees, that kind of thing.
So Nate, let's say I want to be added as a teammate. How would I do that?
I would invite people.
Okay, so would they have to contact you if they are looking to participate?
I can directly send emails, or
Okay.
I'm going to, if I can figure out how Zoom works, I will also enter Mr. Link here. They can click this link that I just put in the chat, and I will also put in the minutes, or
you.
I can directly send an email to any domain, really.
Fantastic.
Bingo. All right. If there are, or I seek you, wait, no, the minutes are mine. Yeah, I'm gonna put that link on the minutes. We can spread it far and wide. Anyone is able to join. And if somehow we get a troll who just wants to disrupt our work, we can basically mute them so that they can see everything. If they want to chat, they have to talk to me over DMs. Awesome. I think that should work. Yes. So the only other issue with Slack is that unless we want to pay for it as a software as a service, in the long term being 12 months longer, we can't, if we use Slack for what, 20 years, we're not going to be able to dig back and pull every single message that's ever been pulled. I don't think that'll be a huge problem or anything, but something to be aware of. Alrighty. Yep, there is Brett.
I'm in there.
Yep.
All right. Are there anything further, Mr. Stevens?
I pass it to our treasurer. Thank you.
Were there any questions for Nate
Questions?
before we? All right, Mr. Kalina. Now remember, you have a whole agenda item on 7, so this is just the treasurer's report. You're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm actually pulling the report up. It's just I'm in a storm as well, so it's just slow to pull up. But we've had basically our recurring donors have been donating through PayPal, so we received the same amount last month, this past month, as we did the month prior in January. So that hasn't changed. We did have some expenses come up, which I'm actually going to touch a little bit more on with item number 7. And as well as the progress of the new credit card processing. I'll touch on that later as well. But let me see. Sorry, let me pull the report. It's just taking a second. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. Yeah, sorry, it's super slow. In the interim, though, do you guys have any questions or anything at this time? No questions. Okay. Yeah, Brett, it's taken forever to pull this up, so I'll, if anything during item 7, when I need to address those things, I'll go over the report in greater detail in a moment.
I can give quick, if anybody's interested in balance information or any of that, we can go through it. We had a donation total for the month of $154.28 after fees. The only expense that we had in February was our monthly Zoom. And that's pretty much it. That kind of goes through the whole report as far as I can see.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
That's going to change. I know you got some things that we'll talk about here in item 7. Does anybody have questions for Mr. Kalina about the treasurer's report? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move to item 6. So one of the things that came to mind today, as I don't know if you guys saw the post that was shared on the Facebook page about what St. Petersburg is looking to do with regard to code enforcement for noise violations and the COVID restriction violations. They had a vote today, and unfortunately I wasn't able to attend the meeting where they talked about a 2 strikes and you're out when it comes to their ability to operate as a business after midnight. This mainly has to do with bars and restaurants downtown that are open after midnight. But that was one of the things that they were looking at. It reminded me that we actually need to have some folks going to our local government meetings, our county commissions, our city and town councils, so that we have a pretty good idea of what's going on. And so generally what I was looking to do, and this can be something that we include as a Slack channel, if there are any volunteers who would like to join up to for a committee for local government accountability, where they would attend these meetings, which actually should be a lot easier now that they're virtual. If there's anybody that's interested in doing that, please do send me an email at chair@pinellasLP.org and let me know what city you're in, or if you're in an unincorporated part of Pinellas County, let me know that as well. And we will populate that, and that will be that committee will actually be providing information to our members once we have it populated and we are attending those meetings. The next item is Mr. Colina again with the super fun topic. I will turn things over to him, and it may seem like he's had to do all this on his own, and for a lot of the case that's true, but I have been here to support him in any way that I can. So Mr. Colina, share, if you would, what we have discovered as we've tried to transition our payment processors.
Yeah, so during that transition for the payment processing, we kind of uncovered that there were some that were not organized legally for the party to exist in order to get that switched over. So there were no state filing documentation. There's no IRS 527 form specific to the county chapter for Libertarian Party. And then the tax ID itself is actually one that we don't know exactly where it comes from, but it's not affiliated with the party. So there's going to be some changes. We're actually going to have to change our bank account at some point as well. We are in the process of addressing all of these issues. And like Brett said, he's been a huge help. Like without you, we'd probably be another 30 days behind at this point, but we're pretty close to getting the state documentation completed, which is the first step. The tax ID is pretty quick. Once we get our state documents, we should have that same day. The IRS 527 form, that is actually going to take a little bit of time. The IRS is, of course, notoriously slow with getting documentation back. We're looking at probably a 6-month turnaround there. So my goal for us is obviously before the end of the term is to make sure that we are completely set up legally as an entity. And then going forward, we won't have any of these issues. And we'll be able to, of course, switch the payment processing at that time, because right now, no bank outside of things like PayPal and stuff like that will touch a 527 without verification that we exist as such. So that's kind of what led us down this road. But Brett has helped me in getting this situated, and we came up with a good plan of attack, and we've been executing it step by step, and we're just kind of going through the paces. What's holding us up now is, of course, the damn state. So aside from that, we're rolling.
Yeah, I've got to say, Camilo, you've really done a good job taking the lead on this and making sure that it's happening. And I really appreciate that. And I want everybody to know that the reason that this is happening is because it's something that we found. It's something that has been around for a very long time. And especially with the EIN, we have no idea who that's attached to. And so that's what we're trying to get away from. We want to make sure that we are doing everything, that we are crossing our T's, dotting our I's, because when you actually become a threat is when they come after you. And so we want to make sure that we are doing everything that we should be doing. That's why I said we are becoming legit in the eyes of the omnipotent state, so that there's nothing that they can come at us with from a paperwork perspective.
Yeah, especially as we start to grow and really get more donations. You know, right now we're kind of under a limit threshold there, so we're not really in any kind of jeopardy. But we certainly plan on growing. You know, we've been making that move. We've been certainly advocating for, you know, different types of events and stuff like that to bring people to the party. And we will, of course, succeed in growing the party. And just in the interim, we want to make sure that once we get to that point where it is an issue of as far as donation amounts, that we've already addressed those concerns, that we are a legal entity that can accept donations and independently of ourselves without being tied to the state party. But you know, we're working on that, and shortly we will have that addressed.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Colina on this topic? All right, that went a lot quicker than I thought. Moving to the next item. One thing that has to happen annually is that we have to apply for re-affiliation with the Libertarian Party of Florida. It's generally a formality. We fill out a couple of things on paper, we sign a couple of things, and we submit it to the state party. Before we do so, I would like to be authorized by the members of the Libertarian Party of Pinellas County to re-affiliate, if that is something that we wish to do. So I will entertain a motion to re-affiliate with the Libertarian Party of Florida.
I motion to re-affiliate with the LPF.
All right, is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye or leaving a message in the chat.
Aye.
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 Looked unanimous. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, I will say that it passed. We're almost to the second member comment. I want to go through a few announcements. We have 4 upcoming events between now and the end of June that I would like to make people aware of. As you can see right here, we will be hosting Nicholas Sarwark on April the 10th for a coffee talk. He's the former LNC chair. He's now the director of the Libertarian Policy Institute, and he'll be talking to us about what LPI does. This actually will be a really interesting conversation if you're interested in what it looks like to be affecting change in a libertarian policy direction. I've had the opportunity to talk with Nick about the Institute and kind of where he's going with it. And it's something that the Liberty Movement generally needs, and the Libertarian Party specifically needs as an kind of cousin organization. I really like what he's thinking about with LPI. On Sunday, May the 2nd at noon, we will have our very first monthly yoga. I wanted to let you guys know that it is a pay what you can. What we're going to do is we're going to have a place where you can donate to the party. We will be splitting that with our yogi. I want to thank Sarah Anderegg. For those of you who may or may not know, she is the significant other of Matt Wright, who is the Muddy Waters Media podcast with Spike Cohen. They are coupled, and she has been very gracious in offering her services. So we wanted to split those donations to thank her for leading that practice with us. And those will be the first Sunday of every month at noon. They will be virtual to start. When it feels more safe to do so, we can look at doing them in person. And the reason we're not starting in April is because the first Sunday in April is Easter. And we thought that would be kind of a bad precedent to take. May the 8th at 9 a.m., we will host our next coffee talk, and that will be with Jess Mears, not Jeff Mears, Jess Mears. For those of you who may know her, she was the deputy campaign manager for Joe 2020, and she will be talking about a career path and ladder in the Liberty Movement and how she started as a volunteer, moving up, and eventually became the deputy campaign manager for a presidential campaign. And pending the state executive committee approving a contract with the Spring Hill Suites, June 11th through the 13th, the LPF state convention will take place at the Spring Hill Suites in Lakeland, Florida. That is a hop, skip, and a jump away. It is basically local for us. But Sunday at 7:30, the executive committee for the state party has a meeting to consider that contract, and things will be finalized then. So essentially, this is a save the date for that. I also wanted to, in the announcement section, let you guys know that any business meeting for this term is available on YouTube. Our officer meetings, recorded events are also going on YouTube, and I will share that link in our new Slack soon, but I will also put it in the chat so that you guys can check it out. And I will go ahead and move to item number 10. If there is any member who wishes to be recognized to comment, now would be the time to do so. Marcia.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll show my graph here. You know how I am with the graphs. Can you guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
Am I holding it right? So
Yep.
This graph is the registered libertarians per the data I get from the county. I have a lady at the county who sends me this every month. So the high in December was 2736. Then it dropped down in January to 2698. Then in February, it came up to 2722. So at least it started up again. And then it came up one more person, 2723 in March.
Marcia, I actually have to question the numbers that you're getting from the county.
Yeah.
When I look at the state voter data file,
Yeah.
our February number was actually 2882. I haven't looked at March yet. It just came in the mail today.
Yeah. And that's a mystery that should be solved. I don't know who would solve it, how. It's fine with me. But what would be interesting is, could you make a similar graph or send me the numbers? I'll make a similar graph of what you get and see if they parallel.
Okay.
That could be interesting. But anyway, so that's one. And then I'm trying to do the graph for how many people attend the monthly meetings. And December, it was like 7. And then in January, it went up to 17. Now that is wonderful. And I can't find my notes for February. And right now I'm taking, does anyone know how many people are here tonight?
It was in the meeting minutes for the previous month's meeting.
For the previous month. Okay. Anyway, I could get that from Nathan. Nathan, do you have that offhand?
I count 9 people last month. 7 people. Let me make sure 12 years of public education is doing me right. Yeah, 7 people this month.
Tonight?
Yes.
7 people right now?
7 right now, 9 last month.
Huh, okay, that's not good. We should keep that going up every month. So that's a little project we can all work on.
We always see a little bit of a change when the time change happens.
Oh, yeah.
Darker later, so people are out doing more. It's still light at 7 o'clock.
Huh, hadn't thought of that. All right, anyway, I have been doing lots of other stuff, but you know, I will be getting more active soon. Okay, so that's it from me.
Thanks, Marcia. Any other member seeking to comment? Seeing and hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, go ahead and stop the recording.